Jai Jai Śrī Caitanya, Jai Nityanando, Jai Dvaita Chandra, Jai Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Welcome back, everybody, to Govardhana Hill. We're broadcasting live from the Bhaktivedanta ISKCON studios. Thanks for joining us wherever you are. We're reading from the Śrī Caitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, chapter 14, Performance of the Vrindavana Pastimes. We've made it all the way up to text number 17, and I'll begin there. Finally, Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu said, "Who are you? You have done so much for me. All of a sudden, you have come here and made me drink the nectar of the pastimes of Lord Krishna." The king replied, "My lord, I am the most obedient servant of your servants. It is my ambition that you will accept me as the servant of your servants." Purport: the greatest achievement for a devotee is to become a servant of the servants of the Lord. Actually, no one should desire to become the direct servant of the Lord. That is not a very good idea. When Prahlāda Mahārāja was offered a benediction by Nṛsiṁhadeva, Prahlāda rejected all kinds of material benedictions, but he prayed to become the servant of the servants of the Lord. When Dhruva Mahārāja was offered a benediction from Kuvera, the treasurer of the demigods, Dhruva could have asked for unlimited material opulence, but he simply asked for the benediction of becoming the servant of the servants of the Lord. Kholāvecā Śrīdhara was a very poor man, but when Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu wanted to give him a benediction, he also prayed to the Lord to be allowed to remain a servant of the servants of the Lord. The conclusion is that being the servant of the servants of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the highest benediction one can desire. At that time, Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu displayed some of his divine opulences to the king, and he forbade him to disclose this to anyone. Although within his heart, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu knew everything that was happening, externally he did not disclose it, nor did he disclose that he knew he was talking with King Prataparudra. Seeing the Lord's spiritual mercy, King Prataparudra, the devotees, seeing the Lord's special mercy upon King Prataparudra, the devotees praised the king's good fortune, and their minds became open and blissful. This is characteristic of a Vaishnava. He is never envious if another devotee receives the mercy and strength of Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu. A pure Vaishnava is very happy to see a person elevated in devotional service. Unfortunately, there are many so-called Vaishnavas who become envious to see someone actually recognized by Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu. It is a fact that no one can preach Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's message without receiving the special mercy of the Lord. This is known to every Vaishnava. Yet there are some envious people who cannot tolerate the expansion of the Krishna consciousness movement all over the world. They find fault with the preacher who has spread this movement and do not praise him for the excellent service he has rendered in fulfilling Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu's mission. Yeah. Submissively offering prayers to the devotees with folded hands and offering obeisances to Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu, the king went outside. After this, Vaninath Roy brought all kinds of prasadam, and Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu accepted lunch with the devotees. The king also sent a large quantity of prasadam through Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, Ramananda Roy and Vaninath Roy. The prasadam sent by the king had been offered at the Balagandhi festival and included uncooked milk products and fruit. It was all of the finest quality, and there was no end to the variety. There were curd, fruit juice, coconut, mango, dried coconut, jackfruit, various kinds of bananas, and palm fruit squash. There were also regular cream, fried cream, and a type of puri made with cream. There were also the sweets known as Harivalabha, and sweets made of sanoti flowers, karpura flowers, and malati flowers. There were pomegranates, sweets made with black pepper, sweets made with fused sugar, and amriti jalebi. There were lotus flower sugar, a kind of bread made from urd dal, crispy sweetmeats, sugar candy, fried rice sweets, sesame seed sweets, and cookies made from sesame seeds. There were sugar candy sweetmeats formed into the shape of orange, lemon, and mango trees and arranged with fruits, flowers, and leaves. There were yogurt. Indeed, Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu was fully satisfied just to see how Lord Jagannath accepted all the food. Purport: following in the footsteps of Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu, a Vaishnava should be fully satisfied simply to see a variety of food offered to the deity of Jagannath or Radha Krishna. A Vaishnava should not hunger for a variety of food for his own sake. Rather, his satisfaction is in seeing various foods being offered to the deity. In his Guruvashtaka, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur sings, Chaturvidha Sri Bhagavat Prasada Sadana Triptan Hari Bhakta Sangan. Varieties of nice foods to offer to the deity. After being offered, this food is distributed as prasadam to the devotees. These activities satisfy the spiritual master, although he himself does not eat or require such a variety of prasadam. By seeing to the offering and distribution of prasadam, he himself is encouraged in devotional service. There then arrived prasadam until Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took it. Swarup Goswami informed prasadam until Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took it. Swarup Goswami informed the Lord of this. Swarup Damodar said, "My Lord, please sit down to eat. No one will eat until you do." At that time, Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu sat down with his personal associates and had every one of them fed very sumptuously until they were filled to the necks. After finishing, the Lord washed his mouth and sat down. There was so much extra prasadam that it was distributed to thousands. Following the orders of Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu, Govinda, his personal servant, called for all the poor beggars. Jeev Krishna Das e Bishwas Korleto Ardukonai. O people, why are you being captivated by the waves of the ocean of nescience? If you would immediately accept Lord Sri Krishna as your eternal master, there would be no chance of being carried away by the waves of illusion. When all your sufferings would stop, then all your sufferings would stop. Krishna conducts the material world under the three modes of material nature, and consequently, there are three platforms of life, higher, middle, and lower. On whatever platform, while taking prasadam, chanting means accepting oneself as the eternal servant of Krishna. This is the only solution, regardless of social position. Everyone is suffering under the spell of Maya. Therefore, the best course is to learn how to get out of the clutches of Maya. How to do so is stated by Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita 14:26. Mam chayo vyabhicharena bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samatityaitan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. One who engages in full devotional service, unfailing as the beggars, to chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra for elevation to the transcendental position. On the transcendental platform, there is no distinction between the rich, the middle class, and the poor. Hari bolo bhale, kangal premi bhashi jaya, aichana adbhuta lila kare gora rai. As soon as the beggars chanted the holy name, Haribo, they were immediately absorbed in ecstatic love of Godhead. In this way, Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu performed wonderful pastimes. I've seen in Japan, during a certain era, there were lots and lots of homeless people. But unlike the devotees were cooking for them every day, and we'd go down to the train station outside, and they'd all line up, very orderly like, and then we'd follow this to have everyone chant, and everyone in line they would chant the Maha Mantra, and then they'd serve them prasadam. To feel the emotion of ecstatic love of God is to be on the transcendental platform. If one can keep in the spiritual world, there are no higher middle and lower class. And then Prabhupada quotes that verse as an indication of the interaction between living entities in the material world. Isn't it? No beggars in Vaikuntha. Outside the garden, when it was time to pull Jagannath's car, moved. Becoming even more anxious to move the car, the king had very strong elephants brought forth and harnessed to it. The strong elephants pulled with all their strength, but still the car remained at a standstill, not budging an inch. As soon as Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu heard this news, he went there with all his personal associates. Then he stood there and watched the elephants try. Caitanya Mahāprabhu then went back to the back of the car and began to push with his head. It was then that the car began to move and roll along, making a rattling sound. Indeed, the car began to move automatically, and the devotees the crowd made a tumultuous vibration, chanting, Jai Gaurachandra, Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya. Then the people began to chant, wonderful, wonderful. Dhanya, Dhanya. Seeing the greatness of Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu, Prahlāda Mahārāja, and began to perform Sankirtan with great pleasure, chanting and dancing in the yard of the temple. While Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu was chanting and dancing, he was overwhelmed with ecstatic love, and all the people who saw him were also flooded in the ocean of the love of God. During the 4 months of the rainy season, the remaining devotees extended invitations to the Lord for 1 day each. In this way, they shared invitations. For the 4-month period, all the daily invitations were shared among the important devotees. The rest of the devotees did not get an opportunity to extend an invitation to the Lord. Since they could not get 1 day each, 2 or 3 devotees combined to extend an invitation. These are the pastimes of Lord Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu's acceptance of invitations. After taking his bath early in the morning, Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu would go to see Lord Jagannath in the temple. Then he would perform Sankirtan with his devotees. By chanting and dancing, Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu induced Advaita Acharya to dance. Sometimes he induced Nityananda Prabhu, Haridas Thakur, and Achyutananda to dance. Sometimes Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu engaged Vrindavana and other devotees in chanting and dancing. 3 times consciousness. There were many gardens near the Gundicha temple, and Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu and his devotees used to perform the pastimes of Vrindavana in each of them. In the lake named Indradumna, he sported in the water. The Lord personally splashed all the devotees with water, and the devotees surrounding him on all sides also splashed the Lord. While in the water, they sometimes formed one circle, and sometimes many circles, and while in the water, they used to play cymbals and imitate the croaking of frogs. Sometimes they would pair off to fight in the water. One would emerge victorious and the other defeated, and the Lord would watch all this fun. The first sporting took place between Advaita Acharya and Nityananda Prabhu, who threw water upon each other. Advaita Acharya was defeated, and he later began to rebuke Nityananda Prabhu, calling him ill names. Swarup Damodar and Vidyanidhi also threw water upon each other, and Murari Gupta and Vasudev Datta also sported in that way. Another duel took place between Srivas Thakur and Gadadhar Pandit, and yet another between Raghava Pandit and Vrindavana Pandit. Thus they all engaged in throwing water. Indeed, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya engaged in water sports with Sri Ramananda Roy, and they both lost their gravity and became like children. When Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu saw the exuberance of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya and Ramananda Roy, he smiled and spoke to Gopinath Acharya. Tell the Bhattacharya and Ramananda Roy to stop their childish play, because they are both learned scholars and very grave and great personalities. Gopinathacharya replied, I believe that one drop of the ocean of your great mercy has swelled up upon them. A drop from the ocean of your mercy can drown great mountains like Sumeru and Mandara. Since these two gentlemen are little hills by comparison, it is no wonder that they are being drowned in the ocean of your mercy. Logic is like a dry oil cake from which all the oil has been extracted. The Bhattacharya passed his life in eating such dry cakes, but now you have made him drink the nectar of transcendental pastimes. It is certainly your great mercy upon him. After Gopinathacharya finished talking, Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu smiled and, calling for Advaitacharya, made him act like the Sheshanaga bed. Lying down on Advaita Prabhu, who was floating on the water, Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu demonstrated the pastime of Sheshashayi Vishnu. Manifesting his personal potency, Advaitacharya floated about on the water carrying Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu. After sporting in the water for some time, Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu returned to his place at Aitota, accompanied by devotees. Paramananda Puri, Brahmananda Bharati, and all the other chief devotees of Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu took lunch at the invitation of Advaita Acharya. Whatever extra prasadam was brought by Vaninath Roy was taken by the other associates of Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu. In the afternoon, Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu went into the garden and enjoyed the pastime of Vrindavan. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur has pointed out that this Vrindavana Vihara, the pastimes of Vrindavan, does not refer to Krishna's mixing with the gopis or the transcendental mellow of Parakya Ras. Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu's Vrindavana Leela in the garden of Jagannath were very pleased. One should not compare Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu's Vrindavana Vihar to the garden, every tree. Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu danced there alone in great ecstasy. Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu then ordered Vrkeshwar Pandit to dance, and as he began to...
Sorry, the first, when we started the reading, the first verse, the king replied, "My lord, I am the most obedient servant of your servants. It is my ambition that you will accept me as a servant of your servant." So I have a question that in this, like, his heart desire is to become servant of servant, but also we see that he was very much eager to meet Chaitanya Mahaprabhu personally. So I was just trying to understand, like, being servant and being servant of servant and trying to get the personal audience. What is the attitude, and what attitude it should be balanced out?
Kritvatma satshurashina bhagavan grihita soham katam nu vishudetavam katam nu vishudetava britya sevam britya seva britya sevam britya sevam. He's standing there before, and he said, "No, I'll stand here at the feet of Garuda, and then when the Lord looks, he'll look for his servant Garuda, then he'll see me at his feet. And that's how I want to be accepted." So it's the attitude, it's not your proximity. So if you happen to meet Krishna, you can say, "My dear Lord, it says that when Mahavishnu glances at the material nature, then what's created is the Shambhu. Yes, Advaitam Harina Dvaitad Sadhana Shakti Reka. It's a Srishti Leela, he manifests the world, and then